Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Kristen and I'm so happy to have you here. Today's video is going to be a lot of fun because I'm doing the mid-year book tag. I saw Larry Reads do this over on her YouTube channel and she inspired me to do my own version. I always love doing these tag videos because it's a great way to look back and see what I've already read this year, what surprised me, what's disappointed me, and what I'm excited to read for the second half of the year. So grab a coffee, grab a snack, and let's get into the mid-year book tag. Best book you've read so far in 2026. Starting off with a hard question right away because I genuinely cannot pick just one book because there was quite a few books that I've read so far this year that I've absolutely loved. So first we're going to start off with Unloved by Peyton Corinne. This is the second book in her Undone series and I absolutely devoured it. When I tell you I could not put this book down, I mean it. I finished it in about 3 days and I was completely obsessed. It was one of those books where every time that I had a free moment, I was picking it back up. And if you watched Off Campus or read it and you want more hockey romance recommendations, the Undone series is a great one to follow up with Off Campus. Next is Catch Her If You Can by Tessa Bailey. This is the last book in her Big Shot series and I thought it was a perfect ending to the series. I could not put this book down and I could not stop thinking about the characters, and that's how I know when a book has really stuck with me, is if I can't stop thinking about the story and the characters for weeks after I finished it. And finally, Love Song by Elle Kennedy. If you're an Off Campus fan, you need to read this book. It follows Garrett Graham's son Wyatt Graham and John Logan's daughter Blake Logan. As someone who loved the Off Campus series and the show on Amazon Prime, getting to revisit these families felt so nostalgic for me. Plus, the whole story kind of takes place at a cottage in the summertime, so I feel like it's the perfect summer read. The worst book you've read so far in 2026. So unfortunately, not every book can be a winner. So my least favorite book of the year so far was A Second Act Romance by Julie Soto. This book was a part of the Kindle Valentine's Day novella series, and I honestly don't remember a single thing about this book. But what I do remember is that it was less than 100 pages and it took me over a week to read it because I was just bored and nothing was really catching my attention. So I couldn't even tell you why it was bad, just that it wasn't really catching my attention and it was very unmemorable to me. The best sequel you've read so far in 2026? For this one, I'm choosing A Photo Finish by Elsie Silver. This is the second book in the Gold Rush Ranch series and I enjoyed it so much more than the first one in the series, Off to the Races. The chemistry between the characters was amazing. I connected to these characters so much more than I did with the first book. I also realized something about Elsie Silver's books. I've read all of her books and every series that I've read by her, I always seem to like the second book in the series the best. In Chestnut Springs, Heartless was my favorite, and then in Rose Hill, Wild Eyes was my favorite, and then in this series, A Photo Finish was my favorite. Apparently, Elsie Silver just knows how to write a fantastic second book. The worst sequel that you've read in 2026? This answer might be a little bit controversial because I know a lot of people really loved this book, and that is Unbound by Peyton Corinne. This is the third book in the Undone series, and I know I just raved about how much I loved Unloved. This one I had such high expectations for, but unfortunately the book just fell a little flat. It just didn't hit the same way Unsteady and Unloved hit me, and it was 500 pages and I felt like it was just a little bit too long and it didn't need to be 500 pages. I just felt like the story dragged on and I was a little bored with the larger portions of the story, but it did start picking up near the end and that's kind of what hooked me in. So was it a terrible book? No, it wasn't terrible, but compared to how much I loved the first two books, it was just a little bit disappointing. So I ended up giving it 3 stars. A new release you haven't read yet but want to. I actually have a few answers for this one. First up is The Daisy Chain Flower Shop by Laurie Gilmore. I love Laurie Gilmore's books because they give major Hallmark movie meets Gilmore Girls vibes. They're cozy, small town romances that are easy to read and leave you feeling happy. This one follows Daisy and Elliot and I know it's just going to be so adorable. Next is Fever Dream by Elsie Silver. This follows Julia, who is Theo's sister from Reckless from the Chestnut Springs series. So if you read Reckless, then you know why I'm so excited for this one. This book involves a reality TV show and a bull rider, and that is right up my alley. And lastly, 31 Days to Love You by Sophie Domain. The concept sounds so fun. It's basically a summer book advent calendar. Each day is sealed and you open a new chapter each day leading up to the 31 days. The story follows someone who finds a crumpled up letter on a cafe table. They respond to it and then they end up writing letters with a stranger for 31 days. I've read Sophie Domain's other 2 Christmas book advent calendars, A Secret Santa and A Heart for Christmas, and I will say the writing in those isn't always the best, but the books were originally written in French and translated into English, so that could also have a little bit of a reason why the writing isn't always the best, but the vibes are so there for her books and they're always a great time. Can we also just talk about the cover and the design of this book? As a graphic designer, I'm obsessed with the illustrations and the overall designs of her books in general. I mean, look at that. How cute. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year? Without question, you guys could probably already guess this, and that is Broken Rival by Tessa Bailey. If you've been watching my content for any amount of time, then this should not surprise you because Tessa Bailey is my favorite author. And this book is actually a little bit different from her usual romances because this one is a time travel romance. In the synopsis, it sounds absolutely insane, but in the best way possible. You've got time travel, forbidden romance, family secrets, danger, and a love triangle between two brothers. As soon as I read the synopsis, I immediately added it to my TBR. And then I'm also really excited for Big Bad Wolf by Laurie Gilmore. It's a Little Red Riding Hood inspired romance, and I know it's going to be the perfect cozy fall read. Biggest surprise of the year? My biggest surprise was Road Trip by Mary Kay Andrews. I received an ARC of this book back in January, and while I expected to love it because I love Mary Kay Andrews books, I just didn't expect to love it as much as I did because I became completely obsessed after reading this book. This book hooked me from page one and I couldn't put it down. In fact, I'm seriously considering reading it this summer because I feel like it would be the perfect summer read. New favorite author. My favorite new to me author this year is Mary Lee Painter. And if that name sounds familiar, it's actually because she's Lynn Painter's sister. So if you love Lynn Painter's books, then you're gonna love Mary Lee Painter's books. So far, I've only read 2 books by her, Holiday on the Rocks and Wild in Minnesota, and I absolutely loved them. I devoured them, I think both in 2 days. So if you're a Lynn Painter fan and you're looking for an author with a similar vibe, definitely check out Mary Lee Painter, and I will be reading more of her books this year. Newest fictional crush, I have 2 answers for this. First is Connor Cunningham from First and Forever by Lynn Painter. This man was so unbelievably down bad for Duffy, the female main character, and I loved every second of it. And then we have Madden Donahue from Catch Her If You Can by Tessa Bailey. Again, we have another man who's completely down bad for the female main character, and apparently a man down bad just does something to me. Books that made you cry this year? Honestly, I don't think I've cried over a book this year, which is kind of surprising because usually there's at least one book that has me in tears. But apparently I've just chosen to read lots of happy romances. So if you have any books that'll make you cry, comment them down below and maybe I'll read them because I feel like I need at least one book that's going to give me a good cry this year. Books that made you happy. This one is pretty easy, there's actually quite a few, but I'm going to keep it short and simple. So first is First and Forever by Lynn Painter. Lynn Painter's books are just guaranteed to make you happy. This one had me smiling the whole time while I was reading it, and I read it in 2 days. I could not put it down. It was cute, it was funny, it was romantic, and it was everything that I wanted it to be. The most beautiful book you've bought or received this year. Now I actually have 2 books for this, but I'm going to start off with Our Perfect Storm by Carly Fortune. I mean, first of all, just look at this cover. This cover is absolutely stunning. All of her book designs I feel like are just absolutely stunning. Same with the spine and the back, but we have these gorgeous sprayed edges. And then if we take off the dust jacket, we have this amazing cover with just her initials and a whale, which I feel like this would make the perfect coffee table book. Again, simple spine design, which is also why I think it would make a perfect coffee table book. And then if we open the book, we have these gorgeous end papers that match the whole theme and vibe of the book. I also got the Indigo exclusive edition of Fever Dream by Elsie Silver, and I think this cover is, once again, absolutely stunning. I love the pink ombre vibes. But if we open the book, we have this gorgeous design of the 2 main characters from the book. And then I didn't even know when I bought this book, but there are little illustrations of the characters sprinkled throughout the book. I mean, come on, that just adds to the whole reading experience of the story and helping us visualize the main characters. And then at the back of the book, we have a little comic strip of the main characters from the book. What books do you need to read before the end of the year? So I absolutely need to read Tessa Bailey's Broke and Beautiful series. Every single year, I tell myself that I'm going to read it because I'm slowly trying to make my way through all of Tessa Bailey's books, and every year, I somehow never read it. The series includes 3 books and they're pretty much all under 300 pages, so there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to finish them before the end of the year. We have Chase Me, Need Me, and Make Me. And I know once I read these books, I will love them and they'll probably end up being a 5-star read. And that is my mid-year book tag for 2026. Overall, I feel really good about my reading year so far. I've discovered some new favorites, some new authors, and added a bunch of books to my already out of control TBR. What books have you loved so far this year, and what books are you looking forward to reading this year? Let me know down in the comments because I'm always looking for recommendations. If you loved this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already, and don't forget to turn on your notifications so you don't miss any future book videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.